All right, let's hear where everyone's calling in from. I'm so curious. I see Florida, Massachusetts, Panama, wonderful, New York. And I also noticed we have a lot of new people joining us tonight, which is wonderful. Is this your first JourneyWoman Community Call? Some of you?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Amazing. Feel free to talk, by the way. We're gonna keep this casual. Great. Well, I'm very happy to see you all. I wish instead I was seeing you in person. So I want to make sure I tell you about some of the things that we're doing that are happening in person. But for those of you I have not met, my name is Carolyn Ray, and I'm the editor and CEO of JourneyWoman. And I'm joined tonight by my friend Tania Carriere, who runs a company called Advivum, which we'll talk about in a minute. And we've been doing these community calls now for about 3 years. And we started them during the pandemic. And I see many women who were on those first calls back in March 2020 and continued them every week for 2 years. And so they're kind of changing and morphing, and we do them now once a month. And it's a way for us to connect in a different format. I assume some of you are on our Facebook group, which is great. If you're not, I'll put the link for that in the chat. That group's growing in about 100 people a week, which is amazing. And that group is all about sharing wisdom and advice and tips. And we also have a book club that runs once a month. It's the third Wednesday of every month. And the next book club will be heading to Morocco with a book called Tangerine. So I'll put a link in the chat for you if you'd like to join us on the book club. And we have a nice discussion about the book. You don't need to have read the book, but we often talk about the place that the book is set in. And then we're also in the process of organizing some meetups, and we've got some meetups happening in Toronto, Calgary, and New York in the next 2 weeks. And if any of you are in those areas, would certainly love to see you. And I'll put some information about that in the chat. And then next weekend, I'm speaking at Women's Travel Fest, and we have a panel on women over 50. It's actually called Kick-Ass Women Over 50, with Diana Eden, who is our Women Over 80 writer. I don't know if Diana's on the call tonight. Are you here, Diana? No? Okay. And we're going to be talking about solo travel and what that looks like as mature women. So that's really exciting for me. Anyways, we usually start these, they're intended to be, casual and conversational, but we wanted to start tonight with a little bit of a meditation just to bring us into the moment. And then Tania and I are going to talk a little bit about our topic for tonight, which, and we wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety and stress, and not necessarily all about travel, but it could be, we're all facing a lot of change and challenges in our lives. And I've just come back from 4 months in Europe. I just got home on, home is wherever my backpack is, but I'm in Toronto as of Monday. And after spending 4 years in Europe and the UK, and travel has changed. It's different, and our lives have changed. So there's a lot for us to be thinking about. So we want to talk about that tonight. And I want you all to know you're in a safe space here. We welcome all your feedback, all your ideas, and I just want to thank you for making time to spend the next hour or so with us. So thank you for that. Tania, could I turn it over to you to do a little meditation? I'm just going to ask everyone to mute as well.
Yeah, so meditation is, in our context, just a moment to ground ourselves, center ourselves in the energy that we create together. So when we breathe together, we sort of create a common rhythm. I'd like you to imagine, first of all, that you're all approaching together in a circle. Circles being communal space, community space. And when we think of reducing anxiety, we think of creating comfort in circles around us. So bring yourself into a circle and take a deep breath in and a deep exhale. And a second breath in and a second exhale. And as you continue to breathe in a pace that feels calming but joyful, I want you to bring something to mind that feels warm and treasured to your heart, whatever that is, something warm and treasured to your heart. And let the image of whatever that is build a certain kind of glow, a certain kind of warmth. And I want you to feel that warmth start to expand, cover a greater part of your chest as you continue to breathe in and out, feeling us standing shoulder to shoulder. And that warmth is expanding even further, maybe now as far as the armpits or the outside of the arm, up the neck a little bit, down the tummy as you continue to breathe. Feel us shoulder to shoulder. And that warmth continues. And now it's reaching outside of you, beyond your arms, up over your shoulders, down around your hips as you continue to breathe in and out. And as you stand there, you realize what you are feeling right now is not only the warmth of whatever you were holding close to your heart. But if you take a moment and pause, can you feel the warmth of whoever's heart is closest to you in this circle? Know that as we radiate what brings us joy and comfort, it starts to touch and radiate and automatically lift whoever we are touching shoulders with. And so pretty soon we have this circle of warmth, if you can imagine, joining each and every one of us here in a circle. And so I invite you to reach into that and start to scoop it back towards your heart, collecting as many little pieces of gratitudes that each of us is holding, bringing it back to you. And as a collective, can we take another deep inhale, deep exhale. On the next inhale, let it bring a smile to your face. Exhale. You can open your eyes if they were closed. And while we're here, even though it feels kind of funny, just look at each other in the eye. Look at each other. We're all here. Hi. Hi. Acknowledge the warmth that you felt from one another. Yeah, check in with your anxiety right now. Check in with your vibration. Just notice if it grew a little in community. Thank you. Carolyn, did you want to take over or do I jump in? What's next on your beautiful agenda?
Well, I just want to say that was a beautiful meditation. First of all, thank you. I do think of this as a circle and a circle of women, amazing and powerful women. So thank you for doing that meditation. And I just want to explain a little bit about you. So I met Tania last summer in Ottawa, and she runs these amazing wellness retreats, which we'll talk about in a moment. But she's also a member of our Women's Travel Directory. And those of you that are new to JourneyWoman may not know that we are first and foremost a publication. with a website and articles and amazing writers. And we try to create content that's relevant for you. Solo travel tips. JourneyWoman's going to be 30 years old next year. And I took it over 4 years ago, right before the pandemic, from Evelyn Hannon, who started it. So we've been around a long time. I mean, I would argue that JourneyWoman is probably the original solo travel publication in the world. We also have a women's travel directory, and this is a way, I started this because I really wanted us as women to support other women. And so on our women's travel directory, there are tours and retreats and places to stay and guides and all kinds of things to help you plan your travel. And Tania is one of the small businesses that is in this directory, and we have about 180 or so companies, and we're trying to bring more women-owned businesses into this so that we as women can support women, especially coming out of the pandemic. So please do take a look at it if you get a chance. It's under trips on our site. We've just reworked the website a little bit. And if you're looking for any kind of retreat or tour, take a look and see what you might find. We've got some really, really amazing women-owned businesses and women's tours on there. So I just want to mention that because not everybody knows that we do that. So now I am going to turn it over to you, and we'll start talking a little bit about what's happening in the world and how we can manage it.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. So, hi, everybody. I want to introduce myself with two little pieces of information that might put the rest of this little exploration into context. So my company's name is Advivum Journeys, and it's really special to me because Advivum, for anybody who doesn't speak Latin, which was me when I found this name, is a toast, and it means to life. So the next time you're toasting, you might say Advivum. It's kind of like L'chaim. And so the work that I do is all about finding potential possibility ways to celebrate ourselves and to celebrate life. An important foundation for me. And I call myself an epiphany designer. So it's my job either as a coach, because I work as a coach, or as a retreat designer to create experiences that allow little epiphanies, those little sort of firefly moments to come up. And it's in those epiphany moments where I think we have the greatest potential to dream and to change. And I'm going to guess that because you are all journey women, you are either travelers in real life, travelers in heart, travelers in how you read. And that says to me that you are all epiphany seekers. So today is going to be a little bit of a coaching session. And I'm hoping that maybe you have pen and paper or journal nearby, because it might be fun to do a little journaling as we go through this. So when Carolyn approached me, she said, there's a desire to talk about anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety. There is a lot of anxiety in our world in general these days. As a coach, I hear a lot of what is percolating, what is causing us angst, causing us maybe to doubt ourselves, causing us to stay within and not experience the world. And for me, as I thought through the conversations I've had, I thought about 4 different types of anxiety that often come up. So I'm wondering right now, if you were just to think about whatever comes up as anxiety for you. So anxiety can simply be worry, simple as worry, or can be much greater, can be something like a panic attack, right? We have a whole spectrum. So for me, when I think of anxiety and when I think about what my clients say, there's sort of the category of carrying too much, right? I do too much. I take care of too many people, too much, carrying too much. And the second one is a feeling of being lost. I don't know where I am, who I am, how I am. I don't know which way is up or down, right? A feeling of being lost. A feeling of overwhelm. Right? The complexity, everything around me is just too much to track. or maybe the anxiety of aloneness, feeling alone, separate, on my own, disconnected. So I don't know if those resonate with you, but that's what I'm hearing often in my community, and that's what I am trying to work with. So what I thought I'd do is, tell you a little story that leads us into perhaps working each one of these anxieties to see if we can find something to create just a little shift. Because what I will tell you as a coach is that you don't need to find the whole answer in order to make change. You only need to change one aspect, just to move the dial one little notch in order to start a change in your life. So that's all we're looking for, is just one little notch. So when I think about the anxiety of too much, I think about the first time I started traveling, where my real gypsy soul was unleashed. This goes way back, and it goes way back because I was backpacking. Old school, no roller suitcases were around at that time. We were carrying these things on our back, no cell phones, no Google Maps, none of that, right? Good old Let's Go book. I'm sure there are some of you who still have, right? Your Let's Goes. They're probably broken in half because those spines were never great. So I was backpacking, and I was in between first and second year at university. I was feeling a lot of anxiety of too many classes, trying to decide what to do for the rest of my life, trying to decide if the guy that I was with was really the guy, trying to decide if I was worthy of the kind of life and career that I wanted. A lot of angst. Not really a happy picture as you imagine me on the train, And I'm sitting on the train and I'm looking out the window and I'm looking down the streets because I'm coming into Paris. And if you've taken that train in, it's marvelous, into the Gare du Nord. You look down all these streets and you see, just for a flash, all these apartments, all these other people walking about. And I imagine there's probably another woman out there just like me with the same angst. Or maybe there's another woman out there, the opposite of me. And I started to imagine her, and she was sitting on a balcony drinking cafe au lait, and she was just relaxed and enjoying the sunshine. And I thought, dang, I really want to be her. I really want to be her. That's why I'm here. So I'm caught in this daydream, and we pull into the station and the whistle blows and you need to get off the train. Now, I've been on this train. It was an overnight train. And so I have stuff all over the compartment, and it's time to pack it all back in. And as you pack your stuff back in the backpack, I see some of you in the chat have been backpacking. You are diligent about what you pack. You only pack what is going to serve the next leg of the train. And there's this little code amongst backpackers. You leave at the side anything that you're done with. So the part of the Let's Go guidebook that I was finished with, I left. The shoes that caused horrible blisters on my last day of walking around, I left. The heavy sweater, I left. And I get up and I go to walk off the train. And it hits me in a flash. What if I leave all the rest of the heavy stuff? What if I leave behind the disability to believe in myself? What if I leave behind my perfectionism? What if I leave behind my more demanding self, my negative thinking, my fear-based thoughts? What if I just leave those on the train and I exit as that Tania that I saw on the balcony having a cafe au lait? And that's just what I did. I left it. I literally shut it down. Went in. If you've been to Paris, there is a beautiful courtyard no matter where you are. And I realized that too much is just a mindset. We can purge our beliefs as easily as we could purge our luggage. I sat down, I ordered a cafe au lait, I flirted with myself, I flirted with the coffee, and yes, I flirted with the waiter. I felt awesome because I just chose to think differently. I know it's not easy to do it every day, but just for a moment, I gave myself a vision of how I could be. So I want to invite you right now to think about, what could you leave behind? Imagining we're arriving together on this train. The whistle is blown. We're leaving things intentionally. What beliefs, attitudes could you leave behind? Don't say I could never change. That would be impossible. It would never work. Just write it down. Imagine that I'm just this magic goddess that can make it happen. What would you leave behind? I'm going to give you 30 seconds just to think about it. I see someone said fear. Yeah, awesome. So whatever you've decided you could leave behind, or just choose one, answer the question, who would you be without that? So whoever put fear, who would you be without fear of the unknown? So you're me, you're with me, you're coming off the train, we're walking right into that courtyard, but now you don't have a fear of the unknown. Now you don't have a lack of confidence, you have confidence. Now you don't have debilitating perfectionism. You have a willingness to give it a try. Who would you be? Just write it down really quickly. Who would you be? A different you that traveled solo. Yeah. How would you feel? Who would you be? How would you feel? And just let yourself for a moment. You'd be yourself pre-COVID. You'd be liberated. You'd be open. You'd be friendly. Yeah. Know that that's available to you. It doesn't have to be a huge shift. Go out tomorrow for 2 minutes. Say, I'm just leaving behind my fear of the unknown. I'm just leaving behind blah, blah, blah. And act as that other person just for 2 minutes and see what happens. So I'm going to go on to another story, and then I'm going to give you a chance to actually chat, because this is kind of fun when we get to talk it out, right? You'd be full of curiosity and fun. Deanne, yeah, come travel with me. Yeah, we have that in us when we let go of these beliefs. So a lot of my clients are midlife clients. What does that mean? Midlife. We hit midlife somewhere around the end of our 40s, 50s, and things start to change in almost every category. Our health changes, often our careers change, our status in our family changes. Often our kids are grown up, they're gone out of the house. That changes. Our bodies change. Anybody got a body that's changing? Yeah, everything is changing. We're in midlife and we're losing a sense of identity. So that simply means that who I knew myself to be doesn't seem to be who is looking at me in the mirror anymore, right? So midlife, we go through these changes. What we see now is that they are actually, it's not actually two humps, pre-50, post-50. These changes that we go through are about every 10 years, right? We decide to re-identify, reimagine. But the thing is, in between who I was and who I will be is this awkward period where many of us feel lost. Anybody here identify with that feeling of being lost? Don't quite know who I am right now. I was really great as her. I'm unsure about whom I am emerging as. And it makes me think of this time recently when I was in Italy and friends dropped me off in this town called Orvieto. And so I'm in the middle of the old town and they kind of dumped me out of their car because they're on their way to catch a cruise ship, which has a really tight timeline. And I'm trying to get to my Airbnb and I'm following my map and I'm looking at the GPS, but GPS, in old towns doesn't always work. And I've got my roller suitcase. See, I've upgraded now from the backpack, and all you can hear behind me is tick, 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 tick as I'm going over the cobblestones, and I cannot find this place. And I pass by the statue, and I pass by the main street where everybody's just starting lunch, tick, 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 and I can't find the place. I turn left, I turn right, I come by the statue again. I come by the place where people are now eating lunch, tick, 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 and I still can't find my place, and I'm lost. I am definitely lost. I am so lost, and I'm started to get a bit panicky and a bit irritated, and certainly very angry at the Airbnb host who should have chosen a far more convenient location for me to stay at. And I realize after I call him, and he comes to the statue where I'm now waiting and walks me, I don't know, no more than a minute from where I was, that I wasn't really lost. I was just not yet found. I wasn't lost. I was in the middle of Orvieto. I was standing in front of the very statue that later that afternoon I would make a point of going to visit, even though I had walked by it about 7 times. I waved to the couple who were now finishing their lunch, right? I was like, I wasn't lost. Lost is a mindset. Lost is what we tell ourselves when we don't know that we're at our destination. So I want you to take a moment and just see how this feels in your body. So I'm asking you to pay attention to your body right now. You might want to close your eyes. So first take in the sentence, and you might say it in your head, I am lost. Feel how that feels. I am lost. And then instead say, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Does that feel different? Or I am lost. And then say, I'm in discovery. I am lost. I am finding my way. I am lost. I only need to ask for help. I am lost. I'm already on the tour. What happens when you simply shift out of I am lost into one of these other sentences? And I'm wondering if maybe you have some other reframes that you can drop into the chat. So instead of saying in life, I'm lost, I don't know who I am anymore, I don't know what's coming next, what else can you say? What are some of your other sentence starters? This is an adventure. I am discovering learning opportunities. I am learning. Trying to catch up to all of these. Yeah. I want to invite you. I am blessed. Yeah. Gosh, while I was tick, saying, I am blessed, I would have noticed the beauty around me, right? Yes. So if you notice that your anxiety is attached to the feeling of being lost, I invite you simply to reframe what lost is. You're not lost. You're right there. You are right there. There are people around you. I am lucky to have the time. Yeah, you guys are good at this. I hope I get this transcript because I need to take note of some of these. This is awesome. Awesome. Yes. Yes. So we are not lost. And look at all of us here. We're not lost. Carolyn has invited you to jump on here every month. We are not lost if we can jump on here and say, hey, anybody out there available to help me with this or that? Not lost, not lost. How are we doing, everybody? I am right where I need to be. Yes, Pamela, one of my favorite ones. I am right where I need to be, whether I like it or not, you know? I am where I am. I am where I am. What would happen if maybe I just sat down and looked at that statue? So fun. So fun. Would you like to take time to say hi to one another? I think that'd be kind of fun. So I'm going to share one more story. And then what I'm going to do is put you out in little breakout groups. And I'm going to get you to share your little stories with one another. Okay. So the third anxiety that often comes up is overwhelm. The people feel sort of this low grade going on, right? And it's just like there's too much data, there are too many choices, there's too much energy in the field, too much. You feel that? Overwhelmed, too many balls in the head. And there was a day where I was walking through the redwood forest. Oof, if there are any of you who live near the redwoods, I happen to be Southern Oregon, very close to Northern California. Wow, what a place in the world. And I was walking through it and I walked up to this majestic tree. And I couldn't help it. I kind of scrambled. You kind of have to scramble up to them. And I just wrapped my arms around her, which means that I'm barely like covered this much of the tree because the trunk is immense. And I leaned my cheek up against her. And you know, redwoods have very soft bark. It was the most amazing thing. And I just stood there and I wondered how many hundreds of years has she been growing? How many hundreds of people like me has she held? How many of us does she look down on and say, oh, sweetheart, it is okay. It is okay. It will come, it will go. I'll still be here. I can't tell you, it just moved me beyond all things. So I just sat there and hugged this tree. And I finally I understand now why there are tree huggers. It was just in this moment of awe and wonder of something greater than me, of the feeling of nature just pulsing and slowly taking its time, growing. And I've realized in my study that there is a huge science behind awe. Awe is a real thing. Awe is a state. It is a neurological state. It causes this beautiful rush of dopamine. It creates such a healthy state in our bodies. And it is actually one of the things that helps us bond. It helps us heal. It helps us repair the state of awe. And there are specific gateways to awe. So if you're curious about this, you are going to Google the Greater Good Science Center. Okay, this comes out of San Francisco. The great universities out there are doing all of this wonderful brain study. And they will tell you one of the ways that we achieve awe. So they put us in little fMRIs, they see our brains, they can see when we go into that altered state. Music, have you been there? Have you heard great music and you just transcend to somewhere else? Is one of the recognized gateways. Time in nature, also recognized gateways. So you've all heard about forest bathing, walking barefoot, moving in community. It's why we like dancing together. It's why dancing was one of our earliest community bonding rituals. Ritual is another one. And the great important moment when we feel small in the context of something greater, like I did at the foot of that tree. So I want you all to think for a moment of a time where you've really experienced that sense of awe. Could have been on a travel, on a journey, could have been right at home. Can you just call it to mind? And what I'm going to do in a couple of seconds is I'm going to put you into breakout groups. And what I'd like you to do is just share with one another, if you would. What was your awe story? I've shared mine. In sharing our awe stories, we recreate this very same biological shift in ourselves, right? So I'm inviting you into a breakout group. I am only going to give you 5 minutes. Oh, it's not a long time, I know. But you get to say hi, you get to connect, and you get to share a story, a moment of awe with one another. So I think soon you have an invitation in front of you, and you simply need to accept in order to join. If for some reason you do not want to go into a breakout group, that's fine. You hang out here in this central room with me and with Carolyn, and Carolyn is going to share her moment of awe with whoever is here. And I will make sure that if you are in a breakout group alone, hang out there. I will send someone to join you. Oh, I'm seeing, Carolyn, that it's taking a little while to go into the groups. I'm wondering if there is a setting I can change. Do you know how your breakout groups are set up? If they automatically...
No, but I might ask Mary, could maybe help. Mary, are you?
Well, it looks like there's 2 going into each room, actually.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Which is great. I still see people are still selecting, but I also see that there is only, I think you had a predetermined time set on your clock. Is that right?
Oh,
Me?
who are you speaking to?
Carolyn, or
I didn't do anything. This is beyond my capabilities,
same here.
actually.
So
So maybe
the rooms may have been set up, or Tania, if you didn't set the time.
I failed to check that. I just thought that they would go freely.
Well, I'm looking at the one that
Everybody back after a certain amount of time, but that's fine.
yeah, you have the ability to close them.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody in the breakout group, so I left it.
Who was that? Who just said that? What voice?
That was Jacqueline Schwartz.
Hey, Jacqueline, where are you? I'm looking for you on my screen.
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
You're in Toronto, Canada. Fantastic. Tell me about your moment of awe. If you are here in the main room, we're going to do some sharing right here. Do you mind telling me about a moment of awe that you've experienced, Jacqueline?
I'm a travel writer, and I've had many moments of awe, but I think it often happens when I get to talk to people that I wouldn't have been able to talk to otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just little things. I think it's always little, for me, it's always little things. Although I grew up in San Francisco, and I can think of no more awesome experience than being among the redwoods. That is something in all my travels, I've never seen anything, I've never felt anything like that, you know?
Yeah. Right. Awe is such a feeling. Who else has an experience of awe that they could share? Who else? Anybody? What has brought
Sure.
you? Yes, whoever that was.
I'd like to just add something and say, often we visit places that we've seen pictures of, And there's a mixture of awe, and yet we've seen this before. Maybe the Taj Mahal, let's say. So it's a kind of mixture because we've already seen images.
Mhm. And so maybe seeing the image is bringing a little bit of comfort, a little bit of foreknowing of where you are. Yeah.
Well, it brings information in a way, but it also, to me, it diminishes the feeling of awe because it's slightly secondhand. Slightly.
Who else has got a story of awe that they can
I
share?
do. I do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Toshiba.
That's my computer. My name is Teresa.
Oh,
I recently went to, it was a free concert at a church on Sunday that involved the piano and the oboe. And I'll tell you, listening to the oboe, it just, for me, was phenomenal. It just filled my heart and soul. It was so, so beautiful. I was in awe. I really was.
yes. And like all of us listening, can you identify with that? For me, it was a concert outside. Somebody was playing the trumpet. It was one of the most, and it was raining, and it was just like so extraordinary. Someone wrote, seeing exceptional works of art or even graffiti. Yes. Yes, I know. Breakout rooms too fast. I know. Is there one last story of awe?
I can share a story with you. A moment of awe, sitting in a kayak in a bay in Antarctica. And the silence was so profound that it defies description. But the sun was shining, the water was black calm, and it was divine. It was a divine experience.
Wow. I can feel that. Can you feel that? I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but can you feel that?
Oh, it was a very profound time, very profound.
Yeah.
Like you're on the edge of tears. It's so overwhelming.
Beautiful. What we know about our biology and the state of awe is actually we have a way of communicating that to one another. So just like you see gazelles who all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, they take off together, and you're like, wow, what kind of communication went out that everybody just got the memo? It was the same thing with awe. We have that same ability. We actually start to mirror it really quickly in one another. So it's why it's such a powerful healing to anxiety. Do we have one last awe story? Now I'm just being greedy, but I just love hearing them. One more person?
I can go if no one else has one.
Carolyn,
I certainly don't want to.
tell us.
Oh, I feel so fortunate. I had the opportunity to spend most of the last few months in Spain, and one of the places for me is in Cordoba with the Cathedral Mosque. And I wanted to be I'd been there before, but I wanted to be the first one in and have it all to myself. And I did. I was right there. There was no one else around, just me standing in that place. And if you haven't been there, it was originally built as a mosque, and then a cathedral was built in the middle of it. It's just, there's a stillness and history and there's just something very mystical, I think, about it. It's not a religious thing. It's a how did this place get built? How did it survive all the adaptations that it's gone through? So for me, that was one of many moments, actually. It's probably why I'm feeling so out of sorts being back in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. That incredible moment where you are kind of a cross section of history, of culture, of time, and you can sort of disconnect from it all and go, just wow, I am here. Absolutely amazing moments. Well, this shared experience of awe leads me into the fourth anxiety that I see a lot of people wrestling with, which is the feeling of being alone, right? That feeling.
And Tania, just before you do that, I think we still have some people in the breakout room. So I just want to make sure
They should not
we-
be there.
I know, but I don't know how to do that. So
No, I don't think so.
no, are we all okay?
They're all back. They all came back.
Okay.
I called them back. All kind of brings us to thinking about being alone. And there is a reason that I love returning to the south of France, where I go quite regularly. Because for me, the south of France is a place of great community. In the little Provençal villages, they have a really important custom, and you were taught this as a little kid. When you walk into a shop, you would never just walk in and beeline for whatever you wanted to pick up. You must always turn and greet the shopkeeper. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, monsieur. Same thing. They will greet you as well. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Bonne journée. When you leave, it is the same thing. In the markets, it's the same thing. You don't walk by a stall, even if you're not buying anything, without saying, ah, bonjour, madame. If you come into a restaurant and everyone is already sitting, you address the room. Bonjour, mesdames. Bonjour, messieurs. It's a real connection of community. And I notice that when I travel, I allow myself, see if this is true for you, deeper connections, more instant connections. I'm willing to talk to the person beside me on the bus. I'm willing to talk to the person in front of me who's getting a coffee in line. Hi, how are you? Are you traveling? Where are you going? What did you see? Here's what I saw. Did you find my stuff on the train? I left it there, right? I'm willing to make those connections. So I noticed that for me, when I'm traveling can be anywhere. Traveling can be to your park. I'm willing to fall in love just a little bit with humanity, with people, with one another. And so to combat that anxiety of I am not alone, I remember that I am in community. I can find places. I challenge myself to find places where I can increase my connection. And I remember, hey, I do it in France by simply saying hello. So I offer that to you to combat that anxiety of loneliness. Connect simply by coming here in this community, going outside your door and just saying, hi, hello, good morning, how are you? What I would love to know, how do you connect? What is your favorite way of creating? I call them little moments of falling in love, because isn't that just sweet? And couldn't we just all use a little more falling in love? I mean, who's going to say no to that, right? So tell me, do you have special ways that you do it? Special places? Libraries are awesome. It's so easy. You walk in, you see someone with a book and you say, tell me about that. Did you like it? Did you not? Should I read it? Should I not? I realize in order to see your chat, I actually have to have it open. How do you go about falling in love? Yeah, I know. Shadi, different cultures, different spaces, different times, absolutely. So it might not be on a street corner for you, right? It might not be in a cafe for you, but it can be here in our community, right? Where we, as Carolyn said, this is a safe circle. We can enjoy one another.
May I make a contribution?
Yes, please. Who is that?
Okay. Listen, I'm Allison Gardner. And I've just come into your meeting a few minutes ago. You asked how do you make connections? Like you, I automatically do it, especially when I'm in most countries of the world, not, it's where it's common and it's polite and it's a thing that you should do. But I also like doing it. But I live in a small town that's attached to Victoria, British Columbia, called Sydney now. And it has this magnificent waterfront walk that goes all the way around it. And I also walk throughout the town itself every day. And what I find is that as I'm walking along, every person says, hello, good morning, big smile. And if I always tell people, if I want to talk to anybody, all I have to do is admire their dog. I've never seen so many little dogs in the entire world. And that doesn't mean I'm particularly mad about dogs. I'm not actually, but it's a fast way to integrate yourself is to make a comment about the something that they are, and as they're coming towards you, you can think up something. You can always think up something. But definitely the dog business is easy, and you won't necessarily keep talking about the dog, but it's a way of getting their attention, and they want to talk about their dog. They love their dog. They're walking their dog, and so away you go, and then before you know it, half an hour's gone by. It's amazing.
It's lovely, Allison. I love what you're saying about you can think up anything for anyone. There's always something to connect with. I thank you so much. I love what's going on in the chat as well. Greeting people, those with dogs. Thank you. Just saying thank you. You get your Starbucks cup in the eyes. Thank you. Wow, connection. We are hardwired to make it. It will happen just like that. Suddenly a surge of dopamine goes, woo, that felt good just by saying thank you. Janet, absolutely. A bow for those of us who have been so lucky to travel through cultures that actually bow to one another. Such beauty and reverence in that moment. So awesome. Hand on heart is another way just to say to someone, hey, I feel you here. So let's just commit. There are how many of us on this call, Carolyn? 70 some who were on the call earlier. 70 of us go out and say hello 3 extra times tomorrow. That's that many more connections that we are making. This is my offering to you today as a way to try and combat this kind of noise of anxiety around us, to really choose the beliefs that we're going to carry, right? To find this space of being in acknowledgement, in community with one another. I am deeply grateful to Carolyn to spend this time with you. I would love to also just invite you, if I have created a number of these workbooks that allow you to look through some of these exercises, do them on your own. If you would like one, just send me an email. Where is my email? This way. That's my email. Send it to me. I'm happy to send it to you. I look forward to spending time with Carolyn in May. Do you want to share a little bit about that, Carolyn, or would you like me to? We're going to be up in Quebec City together.
Yeah, I was just putting something in the chat, but one of my faults is I get so involved with travel and JourneyWoman that I rarely take time for me. And so when I saw Tania's retreat come up in our directory, I said to her, and it's Quebec City, and it's a beautiful monastery, and it's Quebec City. I just want to say, if you have, it's almost like going to Europe, but
It-
not. That's what Quebec City is like. And it's one of my favorite places in Canada. So I said, let's, I'd like to come to this. And I think it would be wonderful for JourneyWoman to come, because it's just I believe it's just 3 days. So it's not, you know, you're not going
Yeah.
too far. Anyways, I'll let you talk about it, but I'll just put a link in the chat here.
Oh, thank you. It is awesome. We have 3 days in Quebec City where we're going to spring awake. And it's sort of that whole idea. I don't know if you know Marie Kondo, and we're going to do a little spring cleaning on the inside and really choose what brings us joy and what we're going to keep, and kind of get rid of the rest. And we're going to enjoy it in the most beautiful of locations, a monastery, which is now a heritage site, and a wellness hotel. Absolutely beautiful work. Of course, going to discover Quebec City. We're going to eat well because we should. And we're going to be in community. So if that feels like something that attracts you, just hop onto the website. All the information's there, or just send me an email. You can book me for a phone call. I'm happy to chat. I love meeting people. Happy to chat anytime. And this little cottage is actually a cottage that is a part of our England retreat. So if you're feeling bold and you're ready to travel overseas, that's happening at the end of May. Also on the website. I am deeply grateful to have spent this time with you. Look at your smiling faces. Yay. Everybody just beam at one another. Yeah, see, it works. Ha ha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tania. And we're at the end of our time here, but if anyone wants to stick around and chat, or if there's anything you want to ask about, happy to stay and chat about anything. And if you have feedback or ideas, you know, JourneyWoman, it's for you, right? Like, this is our website. This is our community call. So would really love any feedback that you have, and things that you need me to bring forward to you, either in editorial or events or webinars, whatever you're looking for. So thank you all for coming.